What's happening, guys? It's Jeremy Blanton with RE/MAX Southern Shores, and today we're going to discuss a topic that is so pertinent for right now. Well, what's happening here in the Horry County area? Hurricane season is upon us. That means that there could be severe weather, major storms come through the area at any point in time. And so I figured it would be important for us to take some time today and kind of discuss some of the things that you should know. Now, the US government gives us a list of items that we should have in our homes to stock up and have prepared just in case a storm comes in. Well, here's a couple of them that are going to come on the screen for you. So the first thing on the list is water. We should have 1 gallon per person per day for several days. So in my case, I have 5 people in my house. That means 5 gallons a day for probably 7 days. That means I need to have 35 gallons of water. Yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna have the storage to put 35 gallons of water away, but it's definitely something very important to get. I would recommend stopping by the grocery store now, going to Sam's Club, going to Costco, picking up an extra jug or an extra pack of bottles every time you go, and just kind of keep it to the side in the garage, because if there is an outage or we have a storm coming through, that stuff becomes scarce instantly. I remember watching people fight in Sam's Club the one year over some flats of water. It was pretty humorous, actually. The next thing on the list that they talk about is food, at least a several day supply of non-perishable food. Well, what is a supply? How many days should we go? I would suggest have at least 5 to 7 days. Now, here's the thing that you can do, and we've had to do this in the past. If we lose power, which does happen from time to time during a hurricane, when that happens, we start to pull stuff out of the freezer, and it becomes this major hurricane party where all the expensive food, meats and stuff, just in case it may go bad, we're cooking that stuff up first, going out on the grill and throwing it on. We're going to talk more about grills and all that stuff in the future. Some other items it says you should have: a battery powered or hand crank radio and an NOAA weather radio with tone alert. Those used to be very important, but nowadays with cell phones, they're not quite as important. If there's severe weather, WMBF News, WBTW, the local news stations all have weather alerts and weather apps that they have out there. Download those apps to your phone and keep close track on them, because it's going to tell you what's happening with the weather. So those things used to be very important, not so much nowadays. But one of the things that is going to be important is make sure you have a good supply of batteries. If you have flashlights in your house that use AA, go stock up. If they take AAA, stock up on those. Whatever it is, go and get yourself a good supply. There is a chance that we could be without power sometimes for 3, 4, 5 days. And well, if it gets to nighttime and it's dark, you can't see anything. And honestly, guys, candles are okay, but they're not always the safest. You know, I have 3 children, so I'm not gonna light a whole bunch of candles and have them sitting around the house where it could be knocked over and cause a fire in the house, and then we have even bigger issues. Some other things that it has on the list is a whistle. You should have a whistle. If you have an emergency, you can blow the whistle to get somebody's attention. Never knew of that one, and I've never heard one going off, but I can see where it makes sense. Some other things it says is plastic sheeting and duct tape to shelter in place. If you're having a storm and you're in your house, you might have a window break. Having a roll of plastic to put over the window and some duct tape to seal it up might be a good idea. Some other things: a manual can opener, a pair of pliers or a wrench to turn off the utilities. If something happens to the water and you have to shut it off at your house, you're definitely going to need something to go out and turn the crank down in the ground. So have one of those nearby as well. Some other things that it talks about: a cell phone with chargers. And we're going to talk about that one a whole lot more here in a minute. But yes, you want a cell phone. We all have them nowadays, but you want to have a couple chargers, bricks as I like to call them, just in case we lose power. Some other things that you may not think about, but things like prescription medicine, some pain relievers. If you wear glasses, have an extra set of glasses around, or if you wear contacts, make sure you have contact solution. All the stuff you're going to need for day-to-day living, because there is a possibility you're going to be stuck in your home for several days without anything to do. So those are just a few things you want to have up front. Now, some other things that I want to talk about. First thing is, when you're buying a house during hurricane season and moving to the area, it is very important that you go ahead and get your insurance policy in place the minute that you go under contract. Why is that? Well, if a named storm comes out in the ocean and there's a possibility that it's going to come up the East Coast, a lot of your insurance carriers are going to stop writing policies. And what will happen is you could end up having a house that you're buying and not be able to get insurance, and the whole thing gets delayed or even canceled. So it's very important that you go and get this in place right away. I want to share a story of what happened to my family. When we were buying our house back here in 1998, we were buying and closing in the summertime, and we had everything in place, and yay, we're so excited. We were buying cash. Yay, so great. So we didn't have to worry about a lender, and everything was wonderful. But the agent that we had representing us, well, they were less than stellar, let's just put it that way. But they never mentioned to us the importance of getting our insurance in place right away. So here we are, we're ready to close. A few days before closing, we don't have insurance in place, and there was a tropical storm that was out in the ocean. It had a name, and it wasn't going to affect our area, but as we're getting ready to close, we can't get insurance. So we ended up having to reach out to one of those big name companies, you know, the crazy ones that they insure things like Elton John's fingers for when he plays piano, or they insure things like J-Lo's butt. But, you know, well, yeah, the coverage that you get is not very good. Honestly, the coverage was about as good at what we got from them as it was for the coverage on J-Lo during the Super Bowl. But that's a whole nother story for another day. So we ended up having to purchase through this company. It was $7,700 for 12 months of coverage. Now, once all the storms and hurricane season was through the area, we were able to go back to our normal companies and get insurance for a much lower rate. But we were on pins and needles throughout that entire storm. Just what had happened if it turned into a hurricane and it came through our area and it destroyed our home. We would have been up a creek without a you-know-what. But nevertheless, we were able to get insurance what we needed and move forward. So it's really important when you're buying a home to go ahead, get that insurance policy in place the minute you have a contract. All right, so let's go back to the list a minute from the government. And there's a couple other things that they mentioned that you maybe have never considered, but it's some really important things. If you have pets, for example, make sure you have some water for them. Some other things, go ahead and get yourself some cash. Yes, get some cash. Now, you don't need to go get huge amounts of it, but if the power goes out in our area and you need to go buy fuel by chance, or you need to go pick something up somewhere and purchase it, you're going to need cash in order to purchase those things because your debit card's not going to swipe. I don't know about you, but I'm very guilty of never having cash on me, and I'm looking at this as a good reminder that the next time I stop by the bank, get a couple $100s out just in case I need it for an emergency. Some other things that they have on the list that kind of make me go, huh? One was have a sleeping bag. Now, guys, this is the middle of summer. The temperatures here are mid 80s to low 90s most of the days. I don't know about you, but I'm not getting into a sleeping bag to sleep at night. Instead, maybe have a nice light blanket or things which you have already on your bed. So I don't know that you're going to necessarily need that one. Sorry, I'm not getting a sleeping bag. Some other things that they recommend having is get yourself some paper products, paper towels, paper plates, some silverware, those things, because if you are without power and without water for a while, you might need disposable things to eat on in order to have your meals. So paper plates and towels and plasticware, that stuff can come in handy for sure. Also, pick yourself up a couple packages of baby wipes or wet wipes. Those things are lifesavers. Having those available that you can't get a shower, but you can at least take it and give yourself the campfire shower, that comes in handy for sure. All right, so that's the list that the government gives us, but I want to share some of the things that I've learned myself personally living here for the last 20 plus years. And the first thing on that list is most of the hurricanes come during the summertime when it's hot. So maybe look at investing in some battery powered fans or solar powered fans or something that's going to give you some sort of airflow, because it can become very stagnant in your home. Yes, you can open all the windows and you can open all the doors, but you're going to get all the mosquitoes coming in if you open the doors too much, number one. But number two, there's not a lot of airflow. So having that battery powered fan that you can have close by is a lifesaver. The other thing that I would highly recommend is take your vehicles and get them filled up with fuel. This has been one of the biggest lifesavers for my family over the years. Back in 2016, when Hurricane Matthew came through the area, our home did not have flooding in it, but our streets did. So we could not take our vehicle and leave our development. We could not go anywhere because it was 4 feet of water in the middle of our street. But what we were able to do is go out to our vehicle and start it up. So what did we have right away? Air conditioning. It was wonderful. The other thing that came in super handy is I loaded all the kids in the back of my SUV. I plugged in the portable DVD player, and we were able to have them watch a movie for a few hours and get them out of the house. It was a change of scenery. It was something new to look at, and it gave my wife a few hours break for sanity reasons, which was super, super important. So that also became the time when I would go out, crank up the car, I'd take all our cell phones, I would take all the battery bricks and power banks and all that stuff, plug everything into the SUV, and I'd have everything charging while we're watching the movie. And that would be a 2 to 3 hour time period that we would do sometimes once, maybe twice a day. Why is that? Your cell phones are your lifeline during a hurricane. The power's out, there's not a way to communicate, and luckily over the last several years, cell phone towers have done a pretty good job of staying intact during a hurricane. So we were able to still communicate, we had cell service, we had data service, so we were able to get on the apps and see what's happening. We could get on to social media and see what people were sharing. If they had power out and it came back on in their development, we could see our friends saying, hey, we just got our power back, and know, okay, we're maybe the next one to come along. We could go to the local electrical company site and see when they thought we would have power come back, all those things. So we spent a lot of time on our cell phones during the hurricanes, checking all of those things. And also at the same time, they became another entertainment source for the kids at times. Things that we could do. We could play games, do those things. You can only play so many board games till you just get bored of that and need to find something else to do. We cleaned houses, we read books, we did coloring, we did every activity you can think of during the day. But sometimes we just needed that break and vegging out. You may think to yourself, why don't you go buy a generator for your house, Jeremy? And a lot of people do that. You can even get a whole house generator set up that will help to basically make everything in your house run, sometimes for a couple days, off of this whole house generator. But they are extremely, extremely expensive to purchase and have installed, and they have a lot of upkeep that they have to have done. So then you can think about, well, what about a portable generator? You could get one of those. And honestly, I have bought them in the past. I bought one many, many years ago during one of the first hurricanes that I lived by myself in 2006. And then in 2015, I did it again, where I purchased a generator, I took it home, and I had it all ready to go, and I had my little 5-gallon bucket of gas there too. Problem is that a 5-gallon container of gas might last you 8 to 10 hours, but that doesn't get you through 3 to 5 days of time. The other thing is this, I am not a small engine mechanic. I don't understand those things at all. And from what I've been told over the years, there's a lot of upkeep that you need to do on portable generators to make them work, that they're gonna function right, that they're gonna do what you need to. And honestly, you can usually only run maybe 1 or 2 items off of it. So instead, what I'm looking at, and I'll put a link to one down in the description of this video, but I'm thinking about purchasing one of the new power stations that are out there. You can charge this thing up and it's going to run basically like a battery pack for your cell phone, but they're bigger now, they're larger. You can run several appliances off of them. They even have solar panels that you can connect to it for a couple $100, and you can recharge it. So with this, I should be able to get power to run some of the things I need in my house from this power station and have what I need. Me being a techie guy, that I can understand and figure out how to use. Figuring out how to do a small engine, that just ain't happening here. So the next thing we need to talk about, say it with me, in Ed we trust. Yes, let's say it again, in Ed we trust. Who the heck is Ed? Well, once you move to the area, you will learn really quickly who are our local newscasters and who are the local weathermen. And Ed Piotrowski, who has been here in the area forever, it seems, he is the one that everyone local pays attention to when it comes to weather. You may be in the parts of the country where you've seen some of the storms in the past on the Weather Channel, But here's the thing. The Weather Channel's mentality is this: if it bleeds, it leads. And so when a story is going on, they're going to make it seem like things are much worse. Check out this little clip.
Okay, picking it up here in Wilmington, North Carolina, right at the Intracoastal, and we're in one of these bands.
It's a horrible storm coming. No, not necessarily. Guys, they like to make things exaggerate and look a lot worse than they really are. So when those storms are coming through the area, or a storm is formed out in the ocean, first off, don't panic and freak out right away. The minute that a storm starts to form, everyone likes to freak out and lose their minds. That is not what you want to do. First, take a minute, breathe. Next, go check out what Ed Piotrowski says on his Facebook page. During major storms, he's going to do a Facebook Live almost every evening at 8 p.m. He will be in the news station basically from the time the storm starts to the time it's over. Sometimes 36 hours of time. He will be there constantly on. So ignore Weather Channel, ignore some of the big newses that are out there, and pay attention to the local. Ed's not gonna sugarcoat things, but he's also not gonna put panic and fear into you. He's gonna shoot it to you straight, and he's gonna say, hey, listen guys, this could be a big storm, category 3, category 4. There's a good possibility it could hit here in Myrtle Beach. You need to hunker down and you need to go or leave the area. Or he's gonna say, guys, listen, this one's going to be a category 1 or a tropical depression. The likelihood of it hitting through the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area is very minimal right now. We should know more in the next few days. I'll keep you posted. And you go back each and every day, you check it, you watch his 8 o'clock lives, and he will give you everything you need to know about a storm. In Ed, we trust. Okay, so a few things else that I want to share with you guys as we wrap this up. First, know where the local shelters are. If for some reason a storm comes through and a tornado pops up with it and your house gets destroyed, you need to know where the local shelters are that you can go to and shelter in place to keep yourself safe, and you and your family. They're all located throughout the county. Usually they're in schools throughout the area. They usually take their gymnasiums or some of the rec centers throughout the county, and they turn those into the local shelters. Next, make sure you pay attention to what's going on. You're going to see mandatory evacuations happen. Know your zone. If you're down by the beach, that's A. As it comes back a little bit, it turns to B, and then as you get farther in, it's west, and pretty much everything west of C, they don't even give you a letter anymore with it. But usually when there's a storm coming in, the zones that are going to be evacuated is A and B. I don't think I've ever seen C have that happen. And if you don't want to leave, you don't have to. You can stay. If I live in an oceanfront house right down in the beach and I want to stay, that's my thing. I can do that. However, what I need to understand is this. If I stay and have an emergency, I cannot expect emergency personnel to come and save me. I am basically all on my own island. They're not gonna run out in the storm to try to rescue me or save me or do things because they think it is too dangerous of a thing to do. So if you're concerned about those things, if you're elderly and you don't wanna have to try to deal with storm things on your own, I would take their recommendations when they say to leave and just plan it as a vacation. Go visit another area. They're going to tell you if the storm's going to go north up through us. They're going to say if it may come through Florida and up the coast. You're going to know those things. I remember back during Hurricane Florence, we had friends, they went to Disney World. They turned it into a Disney trip. Why? Because the storm was hitting north of Disney. They didn't have to worry about it down in Orlando, and they had a blast. The parks were basically empty and vacant. They went and had a big time, where we here, we had issues. So pay attention to that and leave if you need to. Okay, the next thing is this. Go around your yard and clean things up. Anything that could become airborne, you need to take and put inside, or you need to secure it down, tie it down somehow. So that means any yard ornaments that you may have, bird feeders. One of the things that you may not think about, but the little trays that are on the gutters, go take those up. Why? They become projectiles instantly, and they're going to fly all around. Me as a real estate agent, whenever there's a storm coming through the area, I have an extra step of having to run all around the county to pick up all of my listing signs, because they can become very dangerous and end up breaking a window, going through a car, or something even more damaging. So take all of that stuff, stick it away in your garage, Or what I have to do, because I have a grill, I have a Blackstone, I have the smoker, I have big pieces of furniture out on my back porch, I take all of those things, I push them all together, I take some straps and I strap it down to the posts of my house. That stuff's not going anywhere. It all stays there, it's secure, and it's fine throughout the entire storm. So those are the type of things that you need to do. Go through the yard, pick up all of those things, and save your friends. Now, if you're one of those people that has a trampoline, please do us all a favor and take that thing down, put it inside before it ends up in my window or in my roof. I appreciate it. I mentioned about fuel tanks, but also make sure you take time to go and get your propane tanks filled. I don't live in a neighborhood that's natural gas, and so I use propane for all of my grills out back. I have a Blackstone, a smoker, I have a Weber grill, and they're all propane. So when a storm comes through, I take a trip a week or two beforehand and I go get all of my tanks filled. I actually go down to Sockesty Hardware down in Sockesty. Shout out to those guys. It's like 10 bucks for a tank and they'll refill my tanks right there and I take them home. That way I have plenty of fuel to cook food throughout the time of a storm. Back during Hurricane Matthew, we lost power like I said. I learned to make any and everything you can think of on a grill. If you did not know, you can actually make pancakes on a grill. It's very tricky, but surprisingly they turned out pretty good and the kids liked them. So you can do all kinds of creative things you'll learn to do no matter what. So another trick that you want to learn is take a small cup and fill it with water and freeze it. Then stick a quarter on top of it and stick that into your freezers during the storm as it begins. If we lose power, you're going to see as a good demonstration of whether your food's safe or not, if it starts to melt and that quarter starts to sink down into the ice, then you want to start to get concerned about the food and probably gonna end up throwing a lot of it away, unfortunately. But if we make it through the storm and the ice is still there with the quarter sitting on top, you're golden then. You're good to go. All of your food should be safe. The other thing I would say is this: during those storms, try to keep the freezers closed. Try to keep the refrigerators closed. As a dad with 3 kids, this is one of the biggest struggles that we run into during a storm. Keep the refrigerator closed, and when you need to, plan out ahead of time what are the items you need to get out of it. Kind of have a mental list so that when you open those doors, you can pull things out quick and get it closed back again so that you can try to maintain as much of that cold in it as possible. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is when we have hurricanes here in the Myrtle Beach area, we don't necessarily have problems usually with wind. The homes here are built and designed to withstand up to 150 mile-an-hour winds. If you were someone who recently bought a D.R. Horton home, they actually use a cable tie system that goes down into the foundation. It's epoxied in, and then it's tightened down to 1,500 pounds of pressure. That way, that house is not moving during a storm. If anything, the whole house is going to come up rather than it just falling over. So homes are designed to withstand those things. The windows the same way. But instead, where we usually have our damage and problem here in our area is flooding, and not necessarily from the storm. Back during Hurricane Florence, we had major destruction in our area, and it had nothing really to do with the winds. Yes, we had some winds in the area, and it probably did a little bit of damage here and there, maybe knocked a few trees over, but the thing that did the most amount of damage was the flooding. Parts of Conway, parts of Longs, parts of Sockesty were underwater. Some of these places 6 to 8 feet. And it wasn't right away. We actually left during Hurricane Florence and we drove to Atlanta and spent a week with my in-laws. But on the way back, we started to see areas starting to get flooded in. And so we came home several days after the storm, and still the flooding was not fully crested in our area. We watched the water rise until it was up to a point and crested and then slowly went back down. Over along the beach where you think the big damage would be, those parts were back to business as normal. People were coming back on vacation. They were staying there and having the time of their lives, not realizing that other parts of our county were being destroyed and devastated. So you need to pay attention to the flooding. That's where having an agent like myself comes in really handy. When you're moving to the area, you want somebody who's going to be able to help you know, is this a property that's going to be underwater? Is it a property that flooded in the past? You know, there are parts of Conway where if you purchase a property right now, you're going to have to raise the foundation of that house, maybe 6, 8, 10 feet to have it where it'll be acceptable. You don't want to go buy that house that looks like this exceptional deal and then realize after the fact, after you've closed, you now have to do that. So it's really important to have someone on your team that can check all of those things. Because flooding became so bad in our area, South Carolina actually went and changed our residential property disclosures. And one of the questions now that is on there is, number one, is flood insurance required? Number two, has the house ever had water damage? And number three, has there ever been any FEMA claims on this property? Those things are in place to help protect you when you're buying so that you know what you're getting into. And those are the things that I'm gonna check for you each and every time. So it's really important that we pay attention to the flooding things and know that it is out there. All right, guys, so in closing, let's just talk and be real here a second. Hurricanes in our area, they're kind of like snowstorms in the north. You kind of know when they're coming, you have time to prepare, and you know that they could be very catastrophic or maybe not. You're gonna know those things ahead of time. But most of us, what we do down here is they become big parties. We hang out with our neighbors, we have a fun time, we hunker down during the points of the storm when we need to, and then we return back to normal. I've lived here now since 1998, and I've been through several storms over the years. And yeah, we've had some that have been not so pleasant, but we've also had some that haven't really done much of anything. And overall, it's not gonna stop me wanting to move to the area. So anyway, I hope you found value today in this video. As always, if you did, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, get that bell on, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.